All right, welcome back for part four of the Introduction to Evidence-Based Practices and Effective Instruction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give just a brief overview of what an explicit instruction lesson contains. Notice there's a star up in the top at the top, so make sure you take a screenshot once I have everything up. Now, this is just an overview. We are going to talk about each of these components individually throughout the semester. So again, right now, I just want to expose you to it, and I want to start building that knowledge so that once we actually delve into each component, you're going to make those connections to your prior knowledge. So we're building that prior knowledge now. So there are three main phases to an explicit instruction lesson. And the first part is the opening. That's every lesson's going to have an opening. And so the first thing you do in that opening is you want to get your students' attention. We have to have students attending in order to learn. After that, we want to do an interactive review. Again, in that review, you're participating and all of your students are participating. It is interactive. That's why we do our reviews. We will do them in person, not through the video. So always think about that. We only did them in person because they were interactive. You always want to make sure that you state your objectives so your students know ahead of time, hey, this is what I'm learning today. Making sure that you're sharing the relevance, because when students understand the importance of what they're learning and how they're going to use it either in another lesson or another grade, or they're going to use it in their future life, then they're more invested in that learning. And then you want to do the preview. And the preview again is to let them know not what we're going to learn, but this is what our learning is going to look like. These are the types of activities we're going to be doing. When you respond, this is how I want you to respond. And so again, you're previewing the upcoming lessons so they know what to expect. The second phase of an explicit instruction lesson is the body. We start with that I do. We want to make sure the students see a complete example of a skill or a behavior before we expect them to try it. And so you as the teacher are going to model that. And as you're modeling it, remember this, you're going to be doing what's called a think aloud. You're going to talk through what you're doing and you're going to talk about why you're doing it. Again, so the students can not only see you model the skill or behavior, but they can hear your thinking behind it. After you do that, you move into the we do, where you're working with the students are working together, a whole class is working together, and you're doing a guided practice. You are supporting the students through scaffolding. And what scaffolding is you're going to start off with really high support. Students never did this before. They don't know how to do it. You got to go in and support them. So you can support them at high support. And then when you're like, oh, wait, they're getting this when I give them that high support, you're going to reduce that support. We call that fading, remember. We're going to fade that support to moderate support. Once they're able to do it with that moderate support, we're going to move to low support. After they are able to do that skill, they're getting proficient with low support, we're going to take that support away and they're going to be able to have opportunities to practice it independently because now they're proficient at it. And we're going to move them into the you do, where we give them lots and lots and lots of practice, because that practice is going to support their acquisition of that skill and their retention. All right, after you've gone through the I do, we do, you do, now we're ready to close out our lesson. Want to make sure we go back and we review the critical content. We want to wrap it all up. It's like putting a big old bow on it. Then you're going to preview the next lesson. You're going to say, hey, now coming up, this is how we're the direction we're going to go in, or we're going to extend our learning in this way. You want to make sure you assign some independent work. That independent work could be later in the day. It could be you do it the next morning, or it could be something that you assign for homework. And always, 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 we're going to do our maintenance checks. We can't teach a student something and just expect that they're going to maintain it. We're going to have to come back and check. So on a schedule, you're going to know how often you're going to make that decision beforehand, how often, what that schedule is going to be for your maintenance checks, and you're going to always circle back around and you're going to see if the students got it, you're going to keep going. If you're like, oh, wait a minute, I see some regression, you're going to want to go back and spiral back around and let's do some reteaching. Let's give some additional practice, for example. All right, so here's what that might look like. An explicit instruction lesson, an opening might start with 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. We know that one. And then what you're going to do is we're going to review for us, we would review what you already know about IEP goals. And so then I'm going to tell you what we're going to learn today. What we're going to do today is we're going to start learning how to write IEP goals. That's what we're going to be working on. Why is this important to you? It's important to you because you're going to write IEP goals as a special education teacher. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about IEP goals and then we're going to write IEP goals with a partner. And we're going to write portions of IEP goals with a partner. So what we would do is, and this is what we'll do in class, is that I will model how to write an IEP goal or the portions we're addressing. And then afterwards, we're going to break it down into smaller chunks and we're going to write some IEP goals together. After that, then you would work on writing an IEP goal independently. Now, right now, we're just learning about IEP goals. We don't expect anybody to be proficient. Remember, we're just putting that effort in now so that we're building, we're starting to learn, we're getting in that practice, and we'll refine it as we move through the semester. In the closing, we would review the components of IEP goals. Then I would let you know, hey, coming up in the next lesson, we're going to analyze IEP goals to identify whether or not they're complete. And then I would assign you independent work. So I may say, hey, when you go home, I want you to write 2 IEP goals on your own. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, you know what, about every 2 weeks, I'm going to come back and check in. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have you, everybody come together. And first thing we'll do is have you write an IEP goal, and I'll just do a little informal assessment and check in on you. Or make it, it could also be part of the review that we do. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to look at part of an explicit instruction lesson. And what I want you to do is just think about the components we just talked about and see what you can see. We're only watching a segment, we're not seeing the whole lesson, and see if you can identify any of those components. All right, let's move up. We are moving to 138. All right, here we go.
We're going to underline the key details and the feelings and the ideas of the author. You say that would be underline? Key details. Key details. Say it one more time. Underline. Underline. Key details. Key details. Now we decided our next purpose, we always think about summary. What is this all about? Danny, as I'm reading, okay, I'm going to model. The second time we do it together, and the third time you work with your partner, okay, or your table group. Now my red pointer is out. That means it's my turn. My turn to read. Oh, can you follow along? Birches by Robert Frost. When I see birches bend to left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. Great. Now today, remember, Carlos, we're practicing underlining the key details so we can figure out what this is all about. And I noticed, Ruby, in the first sentence, it said something important. It told me what the author sees. It said, I see birches bend to the left and to the right. I'm going to underline that, Arlena, because it tells me what he sees. Abigail, it told me what he likes, or what he likes to think about. And that's helpful because now I understand what he's thinking, or he will. Carlos, my green pointer is out. That means we read together. Point to the words, but I. 1, everyone, 2, 3. But I was going to say, when truth broke in, with all her about the ice storm, I should prefer to have some boy bend them. Freeze. Let me read that one more time. But I was going to say, when truth broke in, with all her natter of a fact about the ice storm, so I'm really going back to the dreaming of what is he dreaming of that I'm doing? I like it. I think we should not. So was I once myself inspired eating. You say self-business. Turn back.
All right, let's stop there. So one of the things I hope that you saw, well, I hope you saw all of it, but did you notice that when she was modeling how she was doing her think aloud? So she read something and she said, that tells me what he thinks. And that's important because now I understand what he's thinking about. So again, when you are doing that modeling, you are doing a think aloud with it. All right, let's do a quick check-in. How are you feeling so far? Understanding that this is just an overview, so you should just have a broad understanding of those components and what explicit instruction looks like and what it contains. If you have any questions, always make sure you put them at the end of your document, and that's part of what we'll go over when we do our review. All right, I look forward to seeing you in our next video.